Hello my friends, this is Dr. Mohamed Nezami with another video on some of the antiquities outside the ancient Roman city of Jerash. I'm standing at my house in Jerash and what is now is Jordan. This is the modern city of Jerash here. And of course, beyond this hill is the ancient city. But along the years, I've always stumbled on artifacts along the road or in our olive farm here. This is my house. This is where I live. And it's interesting. I've always gathered little pieces here and there. Like, for instance, what I'm going to show you in a minute. This is a Roman path tile. You can see that just like nowadays we have the stamp of the manufacturer, this guy here stamped it with a mu. Okay, I don't know, this corresponds to either the one who made it or something else. Pieces of Roman tiles, the ancient city. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take you on a trip to show you how vast was the Roman Empire at one point in time. As you all know, we're interested in the field of history. I'm gonna take you and reenact the actions of finding an amphora handle that was stamped and showed that it was actually made back in Rhodes Island. So I'm gonna go on a little short walk and show you where that had taken place. The amphora handle itself is an interesting, it's a piece of pottery, and here it is. So what I'm going to do today is show you this. To many people, they just, in here in Jordan, northern Jordan, there is so many pottery around in the grounds that a lot of people don't pay attention. But watch this. Look at this here. There is a stamp. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight it to you. Here it is. And what I did is I took this. Actually, the one that found this is my brother, who passed away tragically a few years ago. But he passed it on to me when he found it. And I said to myself, let me find out where this came from. This must have sailed the seas for months and months, and even passed by the Colossus of Rhodes Island. Can you believe this? And it must have sailed from Rhodes to Jordan, or what's now Jordan. Back then, of course, it would have been Syria. But this must have came all the way with, this is the handle, and this is a huge jar in the ships. I'll show you in a minute the pictures of this, how it is. But this must have sailed in ship all the way to Caesarea in what is Palestine nowadays, or Latvia in what is nowadays Syria, and then carried on mules, on horses, on carriages, on camels, all the way to come to the city of Jerash, Jordan. And it must have held either wine or olive oil or some other goodies. But it turns out what I did is I took this and took pictures of it, high resolution pictures, and sent it over to the United States with one of my friends in there, and he who specializes in ancient inscriptions and who has kindly translated what's on it and gave me the date even. So let's go ahead and reenact my brother's, peace be upon him, he passed away a few years ago. Let's see how he found this and where he found it, and I'll show you on the Google map how far this have traveled to somehow end up here. They consumed the olive oil and the olive oil and the or the wine, and then just tossed it here somewhere. So this is, as you can imagine, just like nowadays, this would have been a stamp, manufacturer stamp, just like we see on food cans or barrels that carry chemicals between countries, you know, where you can see the stamp and it identifies where it was made, who made it, what year. Okay, so let's start with this. So, hi, this is Dr. Mohamed Nezami again, resuming the video. So this is a modern dirt road, and I'm almost certain that this would have been probably where the Roman road at one point in time, that it was between the ancient city, which is right behind these buildings in there. In fact, if you zoom in, you can see the columns over there. I'll show you in a minute. The colonnaded streets. So this is a road that led from that was ancient, from Jerash to a small town that was rich in water resources, that had some waterfalls in there, and the water just flowed down here into this valley, and then that's my house right there, and then it goes into the ancient city. And so this amphora handle that I have told you about, which, hello again, this is Dr. Mohamed Nezami. So I'm still on my way to the mountain spring, and I'm going back to the place where this was found. This is the amphora handle. So you can see, I'm just going to put a little moisture so it can be seen better with the text. Now, according to the translation by my friend from United States, this would have been back then, of course, just like you would see here. You know, this is Pepsi, and here's a number and code, and it says where it was done, where it was filled. So this amphora here, according to the translation, it was done in Rhodes Island, in the Grecian island road, and this would have sailed past, right by or past the colossal of Rhodes Island, and came all the way to Jordan. What's nowadays is Jordan, but of course back then it wasn't. It was part of the Roman Empire, and it and Syria and Palestine was one land. This must have sailed and got unloaded in Caesarea in northern Palestine, or in Latakia in Syria, what's nowadays Syria, and made it all the way to here, where my brother Uthman, peace be on him, he passed away a few years ago, he found it and gave it to me and said, find out where this was made. And the professor was back in the United States, translated this, and he said, wow, this came from Rhodes Island, and it made it all the way here. And I'll show you on the Google map when I get back to the house how far this have sailed and how far this was loaded onto camels or horses or mules, donkeys, whatever. And of course, my suspicion is that this over here is a water spring, mountainous water spring, and this was along one of the ancient roads, Roman roads, and it may have was broken during the rest, when they rested at this water spring here, which is halfway between the ancient Jerash city and some of the villages, rich farming villages up in the hills, where lots of wine would have grown and olive oil. So they must have filled it with olive oil, recycled it after it arrived from Rhodes Island in Greece. So hello again, this is Dr. Mohamed Nezami, and see. So I have arrived where it was found at the water spring. Hi again. And of course nowadays, so like I said, this is where it's very tiny, and the people here, they have made pipes. They're using it to irrigate some of the olive. My brother had found grove, but this is where it was once. Years ago, he found the side road, Amphora handle, where caravans would have rested here before they finished the trip to. Now there's not much left from the water spring in here, which is right behind this hill here. There's fig trees, and that's basically. And so this water spring here, natural water spring, this is would have been a resting station between the town of Souf and the ancient city of Jerash. This is where my brother had found it, and okay. Of course, with the inscriptions on it, to the professor who translated this back in the United States, that this was done. It says that this was made from Rhodes Island in the Grecian island, Rhode Island, Rhodes, and it says on it, paid taxes. I'll show you and everything when I get back to the house. It was the year that it was made, Google indicating, and I'll show you the email that I got from him when I get to back to the house. And I will also show you the on the map where this would have, the trip that this have taken, this amphora handle would have taken, and it just shows you how impressive the Roman world was, where trade was done, so that things made in the Grecian islands was exported to here. And of course these amphoras. These amphora handles, you can find them, they sell them on eBay, by the way. It turns out these are like, there's not much value in them because there's millions of them that was made. So really there is no reason to turn this to authority or anything, because there's just thousands of these littered in the ground. So you can go in here, find pottery everywhere. Look, here, see? This is a pottery. Okay? Anywhere you go here, you will find pottery, indicating that this area was populated. It was a hot resting point. So here it is. If any of you likes the translation of this, just go ahead and capture this. And the logo that was in the middle, I think it's a city logo, as I recall. I will, when I get back to the house, I will present to you the email that I got indicating the translation. Okay? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. So, just showing you an example of how global the world was back 2,000 years ago. And how far we have came from QRP code nowadays, to barcodes, optical barcodes, to the stamps, stamp in mud like you see here, like this. This is where manufacturing system tracking or inventory tracking was basically started. Amazing, 2,000 years ago. And here it is, still just like as if a can of soda survives 2,000 years from now and people find it and they read on it that it was made in such and such at the time when countries have disappeared and the world got rearranged just like it does now. 2,000 years after this amphora was made back in the island of Rhodes in Greece. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get back to the house and just show you on the map where this was found. So after I drink some water from this ancient spring here. I was hoping, this is Dr. Mohamed Nezami again, I was hoping we can see the city from here, the ancient city. But unfortunately all these buildings here, they have obstructed the scenery of the ancient city, where you can see the Jerash, the ancient city. We see the amphitheaters, the Colosseum, not the Colosseum, but the the chariot racing place, and the baths. There's like several baths in there, and then of course all the colonnaded streets, the forum. This is where I live, right here. Okay. All this area that you see here, at one point in time, many places here were inhabited. You can see caves and burial caves, because Romans did not accept to bury within the city limits. So all these mountains were filled with, littered with burial caves, and also with ruins of vine processing and olive processing. Yeah, there's one major olive pressery, Roman pressery over there. That's the Berictane, which is the main water source to the ancient Jerash back then. The water flew down from over here and went to the ancient city over there behind these buildings in here. And of course this valley in here once was the rich valley that was irrigated, where they grew and farmed. And of course back then it would have been, these mountains would not have been barren like this. They would have been all covered with greenery, and there's much more water supplies everywhere.